Hey everyone, what do the CIA, American Express, and Marriott hotels all have in common? My next guest, Steve Rizzo, is in the house, and he has wowed audiences around the world. And today he's going to share how to transform your life by shifting your focus, which is also a theme throughout his incredible latest book. And he's here to share it all with us today. Stay right with us. We'll be right back with you here on the Not Your Average Joe Show.
This is the Not Your Average Joe Show, where each week we bring you sales, marketing, and mindset strategies you need to get to your next level. And now, here's your host, international business mentor, Joe Soto.
Just rocking out.
There we are. Yeah, rocking out. It's not as good as your show intros. If people, what's the name of your show, Steve? I have.
Hey, I'm talking here.
Hey, I'm talking here. Right.
It's like, hey, I'm talking here.
I have my notifications on for it, and you've got the best show intro ever. And so, for people who haven't seen Steve's show, go get notified. Go to his Facebook page. Find Steve Rizzo online. Catch his show because he's got a great intro. More importantly, he's got great content. Thanks for being my guest today, Steve.
It's always my pleasure, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, listen, you are a Hall of Fame speaker, but I think you are a Hall of Fame person. After, having a chance to get to know you mainly through your books. We've never met in person yet. But I think that in due time we will. But you've got such great information that you share, such an inspiring message, and you do it with humor. You deliver it with humor. Thank you for being funny and delivering your message with humor. Give everybody kind of a short background of who you are. And then I want to talk about how do we shift our focus? How do we take on the power of focus that really is an underlying theme in your new book? And then, of course, we'll tell everyone about your new book here shortly.
Sure. I learned about shifting your focus like I learned most things in life. It was very tough for me. I didn't start learning how important it was later on in my adult life. Brief history, I was voted least likely to succeed in my senior class in high school. I had a guidance counselor telling me that I wasn't good enough or smart enough to go to college. I did go to college 6 years after high school, graduated with high honors with degrees in psychology, English, education, went back to the same school that I graduated from. I was a counselor for kids with behavioral problems and an English teacher for 2 years. I then, after a couple of years of doing that, I left. I did stand-up comedy for 22 years, headline comedy clubs, theaters, had my own Showtime special.
Wow.
And as everything was cranking there for me, I had this calling because I knew there was a teacher within me that wasn't being fulfilled. And I decided to become a motivational speaker. I don't like that term, but that's what people relate what it is that I do with that title. But the thing that I learned more than anything in my whole journey in life, whether it was teaching or after high school, it's what are you focusing on most in your life? Because what you focus on most is what you will be creating. The more you focus on your lack, the more of that you're going to get back. The more you focus on what isn't working, the more your life won't work. And it took me many years to figure that out. It is the law of attraction in action.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful law in the entire universe. And it's as with my book, as you just mentioned, Conversations with Bob, it's all about that. He's talking to Bernie, the main character. It's all dialogue. Bernie wants to know why his life isn't working. And Bob tells Bernie, your life isn't working because of what you're focusing on your whole life. It's your thought process. It's what you're saying all the time to yourself. The negative self-talk, as some people call it. I call it self-curse talk. You know what I'm talking about? It's like you're setting out to achieve a goal and everything's going fine. Then all of a sudden you hit a snag. Like, I don't believe this is happening to me. Every time I try to do something, it never works. Everybody else has what I want. I should have played it safe. I didn't have the money anyway. And then I invested it every time I do something. And that's self-curse talk.
Yeah, this always happens.
Of course. You're focusing on what isn't working instead of shifting your focus in the way of thinking and focusing on what is working in your life and the strength that you have and your ability. And it's all based on choices. And actually what it is, it's creating a habit. Yeah. Too many people have created habits and they don't understand why their lives aren't working, because as soon as they open up their eyes to greet the day before they take the covers off, the first thing they're focusing on is the grueling day they had the day before.
Yeah.
all the fires that weren't put out, the irate people they had to deal with. Then they start thinking about all the crap that has to be done on that day. And they didn't even get out of bed yet. And they can't understand why their energy level is rock bottom. I mean, just take a couple of seconds. Think of your responsibility on any given day.
Yeah.
Your energy level has to be cranked. That was a nice comment, what that person just said there. Who was that?
Yeah. That was AJ. AJ says the last time he saw you
Oh,
was when you spoke at Jeffrey Gitomer's event, and you were fantastic. Your insight was amazing.
thanks, AJ. I do appreciate that. That was a wonderful. We were just talking about that, Joe and I.
Yeah. Ken's sharing the post. I'd appreciate it if you and everybody
Thanks,
would
Ken.
share the post out.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. So let's talk a little bit about this. You actually started to talk a little bit about that morning routine. You have, kind of an interesting morning ritual, morning routine, a way you approach mornings.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Every morning when I wake up, I don't do what most people do. Most people start filling their brains with everything that needs to be done. The first thing I say to myself is, who do I have to be in order to get it done? I shift my focus and I create a mindset. I swear to you, Joe, I won't take off the covers. And there are sometimes I wake up in a bad mood. I'm not,
Sure.
some magical person. I'm like everyone else. As a matter of fact, I probably have more negative traits than most people do, because those negative labels that were instilled in me are there for a lifetime. They're back in the caverns of your mind. You'll never get rid of them. My job and my responsibility is to make sure that they don't come out to the forefront.
Yeah.
So that's what focus is all about. So before I even take the covers off, I create this very powerful, and this only takes 30 seconds to a minute, an attitude of gratitude. I think of anything that I'm grateful for. It's something that happened to me the day before. Maybe I helped someone out with something, or somebody helped me. Or I'm thinking of my grandchildren, my son, or a particular goal I achieved, or whatever it is. I hold on to that. And then I think about some of the goals that I achieved, and I hold on to that. And now my new thing is I hold on to my book. I have it right next to me on my nightstand, Conversations with Bob, and I hold it and I bless it. I thank God that I wrote it. And by the way, Bob is God. And and the energy you get when you do this simple little thing, and when it becomes a part of who you are, it's almost impossible to get out of bed in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I have a brother that's 100% disabled as a result of the Vietnam War, and I have to bring this up, and I don't even know where this came from.
Please.
And right now, he was in control of his wounds, and now he's towards latter part of his life. He's 5 years older than I am, and now his wounds are controlling him, and the stuff that's happening to him, and every day I'm taking him to 1, 2, or 3 doctors. And now he just found out that he has to be on kidney dialysis for the rest of his life. But man, his attitude is absolutely over the top. He doesn't focus on what's working. He doesn't focus on what happened to him. He always has this incredible way to shift his focus and his way of thinking to what is working, to bless the things that life has given him rather than cursing what life hasn't given him. And is it making his situation go away? No, it's just making him, he's more than just living, he's thriving.
Yeah. He's
in
happy.
spite of his condition. And it's all about the mindset. And we create our own mindsets, regardless of what challenges is thrown at you. It's about what you focus on. He's biggest inspiration of my life.
Yeah, amazing. I've heard you talk a little bit about your brother on prior and past episodes.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that's also a daily reminder for you to, have in check what you might think is something that would bring your day down.
Yeah.
When you have a brother there that's kind of teaching you along the way, living the principles that you share and dispel in your book.
Yeah. I just looked at what he went through yesterday. This one doctor that he went to, and they couldn't even find the veins in his arm. They had to do a certain procedure to get blood from him. It was like, it's over the top. So, when you think of that, and then you wake up and you're in a bad mood, you say, what the hell do I have to be in a bad mood for? And he lives on those 3 principles, which are the 3 principles that are in the book, which is what I live by. And this is basically all about focus. Principle number 1, you need to know, whoever is listening and watching right now, you need to know that you are the creator of your success and happiness. Now, what that means is it's really not what happens to you that determines your quality of life. It's what you do about what happens. It's the choices you have. It's the thoughts you have about the challenge. It's what you're focusing on 24/7 is what makes the difference. The second principle, you need to know without a doubt that you are the only problem that you will ever have. And somewhere within you, there was always a solution waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, I love that
We
one.
just, yeah, man, Joe, we just have to learn how to get out of our ways, to be
Yeah.
still and to allow the solution to reveal itself. And
Yeah.
that solution won't reveal itself if you're focusing on all the shit that life is throwing at you all
Yeah,
the time.
or if you're blaming and pointing fingers at everybody else and
Yeah,
not taking that initial principle of self-responsibility,
yeah,
you're the
yeah,
creator of what's happening.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
And
but
and and
powerful.
yeah, exactly. And the third principle is whenever you're confronted with a challenge or problem of any kind, it's never a matter of managing the situation. It's always a matter of how you manage your mind.
Yeah.
Can you manage your mind and the toxic thoughts and the emotions that are keeping you from finding the solution that's waiting to be discovered? Again, that's all about focus.
So sometimes the toxic thoughts, beating ourselves up, the mental self-sabotage, the mindset self-sabotage of, oh, I knew that would happen, or that always happens to me, or, here we go again. And, those become, like you said, habits, but they're very unconscious to us. They just kind of come out. How do we shift focus? What kinds of things can people do to direct that thinking ahead of time? How do they catch themselves?
Yeah.
And because it's a very conscious effort to change habits, and it's a very conscious one to start talking to ourselves differently, start
Yep.
treating ourselves in the way that we'd want anybody else to treat us. We treat ourselves sometimes worse than anybody could treat us.
It's such a great question. You said, how do you do that? Because
Yeah.
and the first statement you made is they're not even aware of what they're doing to themselves. People are going through their whole lives and their lives aren't working, and they don't realize that they're the reason why their lives aren't working. Your subconscious runs 97% of your life, does not know the difference between true or false, right or wrong, fair or unfair. It only knows information that you program into it. Your subconscious is the genie of your soul.
Oh, I love that. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now imagine this.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're at work. It's Monday. I don't care what it is that you do for a living. Everyone has some kind of a job. And all of a sudden, things aren't working out. And you start mumbling to yourself on an unconscious level. I can't believe this is happening to me. This is ridiculous. I never get the respect and appreciation that I deserve. This is the same thing over and over again. It's only Monday. The same thing's going to happen to me Tuesday. I can't wait for the weekend to get here. When the weekend gets here, that's when I can unwind and I can enjoy myself and have peace of mind. You know what the genie of your soul is saying? Your genie of your soul is saying, your wish is my command. You already told me that you're not going to enjoy yourself. You're going to
Yeah.
wait for the weekend to enjoy your life. See,
Yeah.
and that's not going to work. That's not going to work because the genie of your soul is saying your wish is my command. And people thinking, okay, so maybe I'll be happy when the weekend gets here. No, you won't, because that same mindset will be with you. You take it with you. So the weekend gets here, and then all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, man, if the kids would just get the hell out of the house, then I could enjoy myself. There's always something because you've created that mindset. And some people call that negative self-talk. We just alluded about this before.
Yeah.
I call it self-curse talk because you're casting a spell on your life.
Yeah,
so the
great.
key to overcome that, you have to become aware of what you're saying, what you're focusing on. And soon as you do, if you're in the middle of a Monday afternoon and your life is really sucking and you're saying, I can't believe it, and another thing is happening. As soon as you do that, you have to become aware. You have to go, whoa. That's all
What
you
I
have to
just
say
do.
is, whoa.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
That's
I am feeling horrible right now. What's causing me to feel this way? And then you start realizing it's what I'm focusing on. And soon as you become aware, the negative self-talk, curse talk stops because your brain can only focus on one train of thought at a time. And in that moment of awareness, you enter into a field of other opportunities, choices that you could use to get out of that self-curse talk realm. In other words, you could say to yourself, whoa, I have a business meeting that's coming up in about a half hour. I'm not going to be feeling really cool going into that meeting. What do I have to do to turn this around? What could I do to get myself in a healthier state of mind? It's things like that. Those are power questions, and the answer will come to you. It's all about becoming aware of what you're doing. I always say awareness is the key that will always set you free.
How do we become aware of the beliefs that we have that get in the way? You have in the book that your beliefs write the story of your life.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah,
And
that's what
how
Bob.
do we
Yeah.
acknowledge, things that, or even realize that they're beliefs in the first place? Because a lot of times we just accept beliefs as this is just what's true
Yes.
versus, wait a minute, what if it's just a belief that can be changed?
I learned a while ago, one of the biggest things that I learned about beliefs, and you're right, your beliefs write the story of your life. Your beliefs are formulated over a period of time through a consistent way of thinking. Your thoughts create your beliefs. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about them. And I'm a student of life. And one of the things that made my life turn around is when I was in 1981, I was headlining East Side Comedy Club in Long Island. I was headlining with Eddie Murphy, the Eddie Murphy. This is before Eddie was famous. Okay. Now, this
Wow.
is definitely going to answer your question. This is going to take a second here or a few
Okay.
minutes. And it was one of the biggest lessons I learned in my life. I learned it immediately. And we're in the green room after the first show. There were 3 shows Saturday night. And we started talking about what we wanted to do with our lives. And there was me, Eddie, and another comedian named Frankie. So Frankie starts off and he goes, well, I'm going to hopefully quit my day job somehow. And hopefully I can do this part-time. And maybe I can start touring the country. And there was no definite belief of what he was going to do. He was stumbling over his words. Okay. And actually, that's the way his career was going, too. Then it was my turn, and I didn't do much better because Eddie said, what about you, Steve? Well, I'm going to quit teaching pretty soon. And when I do, I'm going to do this part time. And then I started with the hopefully. Hopefully, I'm going to maybe go on the road and maybe I could headline. And then all of a sudden, it was Eddie's turn. I said, Eddie, what about you? He stands up, he looks at me and Frankie right in the eyes, and he says, guys, I'm going to be to comedy to what the Beatles are to music.
Wow.
And he said it with such certainty and an utter belief in himself. He wasn't sarcastic. It wasn't his ego. He said it as if he was looking into a crystal ball and he saw his life unfold. Now, that's a powerful belief.
Yeah.
He created that belief
from
the thoughts that he kept thinking about himself. His intention to his craft was second to none. His persona on and off the stage was insane. And all of those things encompassed his belief. And I learned immediately right from there, I've got to start thinking like this guy's got to start thinking. And you know what? When I did, within a couple of years, I was headlining comedy clubs all over the country. I had my own Showtime special. I did a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah.
That's what a belief is. You've got to create it yourself, though. No one else can do it. You know how powerful beliefs are? In my first couple of years of comedy, everyone thought that I was going to be the next guy. All my opening acts were getting the big breaks. Chris Rock opened for me. Jerry Seinfeld opened for me.
Wow.
Rosie O'Donnell, Drew Carey. Drew Carey was my roommate. These guys opened for me. And all of a sudden, they start getting big breaks, huge breaks in their careers. And I'm saying, why is an opportunity knocking on my door? And all of a sudden, I realized opportunity was knocking. I was afraid to open the door. My negative labels came back again. And I was sabotaging great breaks that were coming up. I was sabotaging my own success. My point is, everyone in your circle can think that you're the greatest and you're going to be next. But if you don't believe it, you're not going anywhere. And that works the other way around too. You know, a lot of people who have such an empowering belief, but they're not really that gifted, but yet they succeed.
Yeah.
Because they don't give a shit when anybody else thinks.
Yep. They're convicted. They're convicted in their beliefs about themselves.
Exactly. That's how powerful beliefs are. And we all have the same power within us to create an empowering belief system. If you say you can't, then you're right.
Yeah.
You just created your own reality. That's your belief. And you'll take that with you for the rest of your life.
There are a lot of people that give suggestions for, how to keep your focus, your mindset, your beliefs in check. Whether it's the books that you read and what are you consuming? Are you listening to the right audio programs or even the right podcasts in the car? Are you, what are you watching on YouTube or on television? But in the book, you also talk about, I think, one of the most powerful ways to shift focus, which is prayer.
Yep.
And belief is tied to this because you talk about if you don't have the belief that the prayer can be answered, and that doesn't come through with, the mindset that you use to approach prayer, even you can be self-sabotaging yourself essentially in prayer. You say, and I took a note on this, is when you pray for a desire to be fulfilled, know that doubt is the great nullifier. I love that quote. Talk to us a little bit about that. How are we self-sabotaging our prayers, Steve?
Yeah, but again, people don't know they're doing it because they have created a negative, empowering belief system.
Yeah.
Very, very negative. And Bob says to Bernie, he goes, your prayers aren't answered because, number one, when you go into prayer, you don't believe the prayer is going to be answered to begin with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and Bob
really
tells
profound,
Bernie,
actually.
your mindset before, during, and after prayer is crucial. How many people listening right now? I know a lot of people. I fell in that category. When you pray, there's no sense in praying if you don't believe that the prayer is going to be answered.
Yeah.
You have to believe that you're praying to spirit. So you have to go into prayer with spirit. You got to leave your human qualities behind. You've got to know that the law of attraction does work. So what people do is they might go in with this incredible thought process and empowering belief, and they pray, and then they let it go, and they might feel good. But then all of a sudden, 3 days, 4 days, or a week goes by, and they start going, I knew this wasn't going to happen. This prayer isn't going to work. What are you doing? You're already saying right now, you just squashed the seed possibility from that prayer manifesting with your negative inertia, with those negative thoughts. And a lot of people think that the prayer's got to be answered the way they want it to be answered. It comes the way it's going to come.
Yeah.
The way a higher power within you says it's going to come, your inner Bob. That's when it comes. But if you don't believe it before you're praying, or if you don't believe it during prayer, or a month or two goes by and you're still not believing it, you're going to have a difficult time manifesting what it is that you desire.
And it's not just the your mindset, it's the emotions that you have in the prayer or towards prayer. Do you feel like, what it is you might be asking for, praying for, is something that is real, that can be real in your life? And having that, Napoleon Hill talks a little bit about this in his books about, really, it's not just the imagination of belief and feeling the desire that you have prior to ever having it is what helps it come true in your life. Like Eddie Murphy saying, I'm going to be, to comedy with the Beatles were to music.
Yeah.
It was a deeply convicted, belief that he had in himself that came true because that's just who he was. It just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And
you alluded to it earlier. Feeling is the prayer.
Feeling.
It's not the words.
The emotion.
It's feeling.
Yeah.
It's feeling. And Eddie, his emotion was, it was a feeling, a secure, positive, concrete. I don't give a crap what anybody says. This is what's going to. Feeling is the prayer.
Yep.
Seeing your prayer manifesting as you're praying. Visualization is intense because visualization intensifies the emotion. And like I said, emotion, feeling is the prayer.
And people will reveal their self-sabotage in their language, right? They'll say things like, well, I had a feeling it wasn't going to work.
Yep.
I had a feeling
that
they were going to say this to me. I had a feeling it was going to turn out that way.
Yep.
And they don't realize that they're expressing what you just shared, which is it does start with a feeling.
Yeah.
They didn't say, I saw it was going to unfold that way. They say, I had a feeling it would unfold that way. And when it was that prominent of a feeling, you're saying that's manifested then.
Oh, absolutely. Look, your thoughts create your beliefs. So let's just take prayer, for instance. The thoughts you have when you're praying will create the belief you have about it. Those thoughts and beliefs will create the way that you feel. You say they create your feelings. Like try feeling angry about something without having an angry thought first. You can't. So let's see. Hill says faith is laboratory. Jesus said, ask, believing you received, and you will receive. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Not logic.
Yeah. Believe it and you'll achieve it. Believe it and you'll see it. And some people say, no, I got to see it first before. No, that's not how it works.
Well, it's maybe believe it is too general of a word. It's almost too broad. Maybe believe it has to be just, people have to understand that what he means by that is feeling it is part of believing it, right? So what does believe it entail? What does believe it entail when people say believe it? Wayne Dyer wrote a book called You'll See It When You Believe It, right?
Exactly.
But what does that mean? His whole book was about what that means. And it entails having that emotion, that feeling tied to that belief that it can come true before you'll ever see it come true for your life.
You see it in your mind's eye. You see it in
Yeah.
your mind's eye. In the book that you're talking about, my new book, Conversations with Bob, I
Yeah.
think it's chapter 12 is called Believe. Chapter 13 is called The Formula, where Bernie explains how powerful your belief is in prayer. And then when he talks about the formula, he stresses to Bernie, feeling is the prayer. It's the feeling. And get juiced when you go into that prayer. See it in your mind's eye happening. If it's let's just say a new house that you desire at some point in your life, see yourself walking through the house. Feel the energy that you get when you see your living room with the fireplace that you always wanted. Look at the yard that you wanted and see it all. See it all in living color and feel how exciting that is. And you don't just do it in prayer, like one time during the day. You could do it throughout the day. You could pray as you're walking around the street or whatever it is, and visualize it. But it is the feeling that solidifies it. It's the visualization. You talk to many sports figures, and they'll say, "How do you catch so many balls? And how is it that you score so many touchdowns or throw touchdown passes?" So many of them say, "I visualize myself doing it day in and day out."
Yeah.
You talk about impeccable belief system. Look what Tom Brady did. The first day that he was drafted, he was in the 6th round, the 36th pick or something like that in the 6th round. His first day of practice, he went up to the owner of
Bob Kraft.
Yes, Bob Kraft. The owner went up to him and just said, "Mr. Kraft, my name is Tom Brady. I just want you to know that I am the best decision you'll ever make in this organization." And he walked away.
Yeah.
And that's the first line in Bob Kraft's book, I believe, the book that he wrote about his life and what Tom Brady said about that. That's belief, Joe.
Yeah.
That's unshakable
That's
belief.
it. Unshakable belief.
Yep.
There's a lot to be learned from that. And you mentioned your book. I'm going to pull it up here. Conversations with Bob, available on Amazon, but you also can go to yourinnerbob.com and just order it directly off your site. Yes.
Yeah, they can get you. If you go to innerbob.com, what you could see are excerpts from the book. Yeah, see, you can see the beginning, and this is what you'll see at yourinnerbob.com, and it'll give you excerpts, of what the book is about, and you can order it in Amazon or PayPal or whichever you choose.
I love what Betsy Ross says, who's credited with sewing the first American flag. She said it's a timeless, entertaining dialogue for living an extraordinary life.
Yeah.
And it is. The book is written. Well, talk a little bit about how the book is written in the format, because I think it's very unique, and it's an entertaining. It is an entertaining read.
Yeah,
but it's full of such great, profound insight that it's like a self-discovery dialogue in the book. But talk a little bit about the format and why you chose that format.
Well, the format chose itself. I was at the lowest point in my life 7 years ago, in the middle of a divorce after 30 years. And I moved from Long Island. I didn't even think. I just got up. I had a couple friends that lived in California. I rented an apartment in Marina Del Rey, and I just ran away from my problems. And I stayed there for 2 years. And I would exercise at a 24-hour gym every day, early in the morning. And then I would walk around Venice Beach. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning on Venice Beach, which is not a safe thing to do. And the emotions took control of me, and I lost it. I lost it. I was on the beach. If anyone would have seen me, they would have thought I was a maniac. And I'm yelling at God. I'm screaming, and I blurted out, "What the hell is wrong with me? And what am I doing here?" And I took another step, and something within me, the answer came right out, and it said, "You know why you're here, and you know what's wrong. You're just too caught up in your own drama to find the answer." And I went, whoa. I got in my car, drove back to my condo in Marina Del Rey, and I started typing. I asked another question, another answer came out. Another question, another answer. I was there for hours. I'm talking like 4 or 5 hours. And I realized I was talking to a higher part of myself. And that higher part had the answers to every single question.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, I said, "Oh, I'm writing a book." And it took me, like 7 years to write the book, a little more. Every time I thought I was finished with it, years ago, I thought I was finished. Bob said, "No, you're not. You still have to learn a lot more stuff." And then there was a time where I said, "Yep, it's finished." So it's out there now.
Yeah, and newly released. When was the release date?
Not even 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah. So my goal is to get the word out, the message to the masses. That's my mission in life. This is what I was put on this planet to do. I am certain of it. With all the other accomplishments I've had, this is beyond success. This is something different, hard to explain. But I know that's everything that I went through. My biggest challenges have become my greatest blessings because of this book. Because if I didn't go through that crap, I wouldn't be in a position where I can help millions of people.
Yeah.
To
Steve,
turn their life around.
I think your biggest challenges have become other people's biggest blessings too, because you got this book out there, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate you saying that. Thanks.
It's not just blessings for you. You're blessing everybody who has a chance to get their hands on this book. Thank you for writing it. It's awesome.
I so much appreciate you saying that, and the time that you're a very good interviewer, and you ask the right questions. And all I could say, folks, and this is coming from Bob, not me. After you've read the book from cover to cover, I really believe you will realize how much power you have over every single aspect of your life. And
yeah, it's a book I ordered on Kindle, and I told Steve that every once in a while there's a book you read on Kindle that is important enough for you to own and have in your library. And that book certainly takes the cake. So I appreciate you taking the time with us today, Steve. This has been awesome. This is the second time I've had you on. I've had less than a handful of people on a second time, but there's a reason. And I think everybody here who's commenting and who's sharing, and Eric says he's got a copy, did an Amazon review. Yeah. For those of you who have a copy or get a copy, I've got my Amazon review queued up for Steve. He deserves it. Get your review out there for the book. If you don't have the book, hopefully you're putting an order in right now. And quite honestly, you should order two, because you're going to want to gift it to somebody. And that's what I learned. It's a
hardcover. It's a hardcover, and it's a beautiful book. I mean, they did a great job, the publisher. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, awesome. Thanks, Wes. Wes says, great show. Justin says, let's get it on Audible. Yeah.
I'm working on Audible now.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. You're too good of a speaker not to have it on Audible. Callan says, have it, read it, love it. Yeah. Awesome. We also can go to steverizzo.com in addition to what I was just sharing. And here's Bruce. Hey, Bruce is on here saying, where do we get more of your great wisdom? Yeah. Visit yourinnerbob.com. I'll make sure it's in the show notes as well. That's just like it sounds, yourinnerbob.com. But you can also go to steverizzo.com and learn all about Steve. And if you need a speaker for your company, your organization, your business, Steve's your guy. And I can't wait to see what the future holds. I know you're already touching a lot of lives with the new release of this book, but I can't wait to see what the next 12 months shows for where this book's going to go and open up all kinds of doors for you, Steve. Thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Thank you. Can I ask them to go to my podcast,
please,
video podcast? Hey, I'm Talking Here. That's what it's called, with my wonderful co-host Eric Bam, and it's on every other Thursday. This Thursday it'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every other Thursday. Hey, I'm Talking Here.
How do they find it?
Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, great. So it's on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah,
and I'll make sure to also link it in the comments. And for those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, it'll be right there in the show notes for you to access the show as well.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All
right, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on here. Steve, thank you so much. Until next time, everyone.
Tune in next week for the Not Your Average Joe Show with international business mentor Joe Soto.